Welcome everyone to the FIDE Women's World Cup 2025. We are in round number 4 and we have Divya Deshmukh taking on Zhu Jiner from China. Divya is rated 2463 while her opponent, one of the most talented players in China and the world right now with an ELO of 2533. It's going to be a very tough battle for Divya here in Batumi, Georgia. The clocks have begun and Divya opens with 1e4. Let's see what Zhu Jiner responds back with. She plays the Sicilian. She's going for fighting chess. Knight to f3 played. And Zhu Jiner plays d6. Will Divya go for the more positional bishop b5 check? No. She's going all out for the open Sicilian. And she's going for a fight here, which is very nice to see. Knight takes d4. And now the knight comes out to f6, attacking the pawn on e4. Divya plays her knight to c3, defending the pawn. And now Zhu Jiner plays a6. We have the Sicilian Najdorf on the board. What will Divya choose? She goes for the fianchetto system with g3. Not the most popular choice, but quite well known. e5 by Zhu. And she's attacking the knight. The knight can come back to e2 or b3. Divya takes it back to b3, which is quite logical. And now Zhu Jiner can play bishop e7, maybe bishop e6, not so silly. She goes bishop e7. And now the most logical move is bishop g2, and we have like more than 1000 games played with that move. But of late, this new idea, bishop g5, is gaining popularity, in which white is saying that I don't want to commit my bishop just yet to g2. Because you played your pawn to e5, my bishop could very well do on c4. It might be a great piece. So Divya goes a4, stopping b5 ideas. And then the question is, what to do with the move g3? Well, that's what modern chess is all about. You did commit to g3, but you didn't say that I will play bishop g2. And so here you can see Divya goes with her bishop to c4. A very interesting chess, because the bishop is doing an incredible job on this diagonal. And that is great compensation for just having the pawn on g3. Now Divya gets her queen up to d3. And Zhu Jiner quickly castles here. She has 1 hour 15 minutes. Divya has 1 hour 33 minutes, which shows that this is all part of her preparation. And that's what Divya does so well. She's so well prepared. Now Zhu Jiner goes queen c7. She's putting pressure on c4. She wants to get her rook to attack when the bishop would be slightly uncomfortable, because the knight is there on b3. The bishop cannot drop back. But Divya goes rook d1. She's putting pressure on the d6 point. But what are you going to do about rook fc8 is my big question here. I'm not particularly worried about rook ac8 because a6 would hang, and that's the right move. Zhu Jiner does go rook fc8. And now Divya can play knight d2, defending the bishop. But first she takes on f6. Interesting choice by her. And now knight takes f6. Pretty sure Zhu Jiner goes for it. Yes, knight takes f6. And now knight to d2. The knight falls back, defending the bishop, defending the pawn on e4. As of now, the position looks pretty even. Queen c5 played, and Divya quietly puts her bishop on b3. It would be a dream come true for Divya if she manages to get the knight from f1 to e3 to d5. Bishop c6 played by Zhu Jiner, and look at this move, knight c4. Divya is like, why do you want to go back when you can go front and then to e3? b5 pushed here. Pawn to b5. But look at Divya's advantage rising here, because it's all about the square on d5. It is falling in Divya's control. Pawn takes pawn taken here. If bishop takes b5, we have knight takes b5. So Zhu Jiner takes it back with the pawn. Knight jumps back to e3. And now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces controlling the d5 square. By the way, knight f5 was also an idea. And now Divya pushes her pawn to h4. And Zhu Jiner plays her bishop back to f8. Maybe she wants to get her bishop to h6 to attack the knight. And let's see how Divya continues here. She goes knight d5. I love this move. Fantastic chess. Getting the knight into the center. Knight takes d5. And now very important to take back with the knight. Yes, Divya takes back with the knight. And now if you take bishop takes d5, I have bishop takes d5. And if you go rook a1, I go rook a1. And if you take on c2, I'll take on b5, and f7 is tremendously weak. So here rook a1 has happened. She goes rook to a8. Trading. And Zhu Jiner is like, yes, I know, Divya, that your pieces are beautiful. Although I have the 2 bishops, my bishop on f8 is an absolute useless piece for now. But I also know that if I trade pieces, like for example, if right time I take here, it will be opposite colored bishops, which would be fine. But Divya gives a check. 25 moves have been completed. 19 minutes to Zhu Jiner, 22 for Divya. King comes up to g7. And now she goes knight to e8 check. I love how Divya actually makes her moves very lightly. Like, you know, many players make the move very precisely, putting a piece on a square. But Divya often just sort of lets the piece be on that square. She's repeated twice. Is it a draw for? Well, here you can push h5. I don't think Divya is going for a draw. Bishop d5. Now, this is not the best move because of queen c8, defending the bishop, and also the knight here on e8, attacking the knight. But Zhu Jiner makes a huge error. She takes on d5, and of course Divya comes back knight f6 check. And this is the most perfect exchange that Divya could have hoped for, because now after knight takes d5, she's completely better. Look at this knight, so much superior as compared to the bishop on f8. Goes pawn to f5, and Zhu Jiner getting a bit desperate here for sure. What about taking here? She takes it. E takes f5, and her point of course is that if you take on f5, your knight on d5 is hanging. So pawn takes pawn back, and here maybe b4 is a great idea, but she goes knight e3, which is also a fantastic move, attacking the pawn on f5. You know, Divya's positional chess got to Zhu Jiner, who's going now completely on the attack. Queen b3 played. The queen can now enter on e6, attacking the pawn on f5. King f6, trying to stop the queen from coming here. But hey, can I go now? Simply queen g8. Zhu Jiner has 9 minutes. Divya has 2 minutes. 6 more moves to reach move number 40. She goes queen g8. I love this move. Attacking the bishop, also threatening the pawn on h7. And now Zhu Jiner goes bishop h6, check on h8, king e6. Do you take here on h7? Well, maybe then bishop e3. You don't want to go into that territory. So queen g8 check. And she goes king f6. She has to keep an eye on the f5 pawn. And now there's a very nice move, b4. Finds it, because queen takes b4 is met with check, and you lose the queen. So queen has to move away. Queen comes to c6, and now can we go knight d5 check? Yes, Divya plays knight d5, 39th move. She has 51 seconds. Zhu Jiner comes king e5, knight jumps into e7. Now a huge attack brewing, and it's said that the queen and knight are the most deadly combo. 40 moves done. 30 minutes added to the clock. Divya can now calmly calculate everything, and she does it. Queen d5 check. She is good enough here to finish everything. Like, there's this saying like you finish off the chessboard here, and I think that's what's going to happen. Queen takes d6 check, and king f7. Point being that if you take on h6, I'll take back on e7, so you don't want that to happen. Divya simply chops off the pawn on f5. Bishop goes back to f8, attacking the queen. And now queen to d5 check. So giving a check, the queen and knight coordinating so beautifully. King f6, and now she goes knight to d6. Another very bold decision. If you take bishop d6, queen d6, then eventually you lose this pawn and you are 2 pawns up. So e3 played by Zhu Jiner, trying to muddy the waters. F takes e3. Divya is playing without a trace of fear. Her king is now open and a bit exposed, but she knows that there is a safe home calling her on the h3 square. So a check, king goes up to g2, another check on c2, and you go king h3, and the king is completely safe. There are no more checks here, and Divya has this emotion like, hey, I knew all this is going to happen all along. No extra emotions, just calmly doing her job. Queen b1, trying to threaten some check on f1 or h1, but Divya goes for a check. And simply, if you play king e5, I take the piece. There are no perpetuals, and the game is over. Zhu Jiner losing a piece. She resigns. Divya takes the lead in this all important round 4 clash, and she's now 1 point up. And all that she needs is a draw in the next round to advance to the quarterfinals, the last 8 of the FIDE Women's World Cup 2025. Will she be able to do it? Only time will tell, but it's for sure that it's advantage Divya here. For the other Indian players, 3 of them playing at the World Cup still, apart from Divya, Humpy, Harika and Vaishali, all 3 of them drew their games against Koschenyuk, Lagno and Kamaladinova respectively, and they will be trying to fight for the second game. Divya was the only Indian to win, and we will see how things pan out in the second game. Very exciting victory by the youngster.